The clinic smelled like bleach and hope gone stale. The kind that clings to the back of your throat and makes you swallow more than you need to. White walls, white floors, white lies. I remember thinking that if pain had a color, it would be this: polished, sterile, pretending to be clean. We had been trying for 4 years. 4 birthdays that passed with polite smiles and fake laughter when friends handed us tiny wrapped boxes that rattled with pacifiers or socks. 4 years of doctors using words like journey and process, like infertility was a scenic route and not a dead-end road with no lights. They always spoke to her first. "She's perfectly healthy," they'd say, nodding at my wife like she was a miracle waiting to happen. Then their eyes would drift to me, soften and sharpen at the same time. "Sometimes the issue is multifactorial." That was code for you. I learned to read lab reports the way other men read sports stats. Motility, morphology, count. Each number a quiet insult. Each appointment another small funeral for a future that refused to show up. That's when we met him, Dr. Adrian Hale. Even his name sounded expensive. He wasn't like the others, older men with tired eyes and rehearsed sympathy. Hale was mid-40s, silver at the temples, voice smooth as a late-night radio host. He shook my hand like it mattered, held eye contact, asked how I was holding up. "You'd be surprised how much stress can affect outcomes," he said once, leaning back in his chair like this was a casual conversation and not my life on the table. "Men carry this quietly. I see it every day." I wanted to believe him. God help me, I did. The clinic changed after that. Or maybe I did. The waiting room felt warmer. The nurses smiled more. My wife, Emily, laughed again. Not the careful laugh she'd perfected over the years, but the old one, the real one. Hale started suggesting innovative options, extra consultations, private sessions. He said he wanted to optimize Emily's environment, hormone adjustments, lifestyle coaching. Sometimes he'd ask to see her alone. "It's just easier," Emily told me, squeezing my hand. "He explains things better without all the technical stuff." I told myself that was fine. I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, this was a man who framed his medical degrees like trophies and spoke about ethics the way priests talk about faith. Still, something shifted. Emily began staying later at the clinic. Her phone started living face down. She guarded it like a secret diary. At night, she smelled faintly different, cleaner almost, like hotel soap. I tried to confront her once, just once. "You're imagining things," she said gently, the same way the doctors spoke to me. "You're under a lot of pressure." Then came the miracle. 2 pink lines. She told me in the kitchen, sunlight cutting the room in half like a blade. Her hands were shaking. Mine didn't move at all. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. I waited for joy to arrive. It never did. Something cold bloomed in my chest instead, heavy and wrong. Later that night, while she slept, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. No password, she'd never bothered to change it. I don't know what I expected. Comfort, reassurance, maybe proof that I was crazy? What I found was an ultrasound photo. Fresh, time-stamped, unmistakable. Below it, a message. "We did it, just like we planned. He doesn't suspect a thing." The sender's name glowed on the screen. Dr. Adrian Hale.
I smiled when she kissed me goodbye. That was the first lie I told her. I became an actor in my own life, delivering lines with a calm I didn't recognize. I nodded when Emily talked about nursery colors. I listened when she mentioned Dr. Hale's excitement about the pregnancy. I even laughed once at something I can't remember now. My face learned new shapes. My eyes didn't. Inside, something sharp was forming. Revenge didn't arrive as a scream. It came as ice. I started waking before dawn, staring at the ceiling while the city breathed through the window. My thoughts slowed, organized themselves, became neat little boxes. I imagined futures that didn't include forgiveness. I imagined Hale's confident smile finally cracking, his celebrity calm stripped away. I didn't think about blood. I thought about loss, about taking something from him that could never grow back. I told myself this wasn't madness, this was balance. During the day, I researched quietly, not specifics, not methods, just patterns, power dynamics, scandals. Men like him always believed they were untouchable. That arrogance was a weakness. I rehearsed conversations in my head, neutral tones masking intent. Every plan stayed abstract, like a shadow on the wall. I never let it take a shape I could name. That's when my body began to betray me. It started with the vitamins. Emily insisted I take them. Little white capsules in an amber bottle lined up beside the sink like soldiers. She said Dr. Hale recommended them. Stress support, male wellness, words that felt like mockery now. Humor me, she said, smiling that careful smile. You've been so tense. The first morning, I swallowed them without thinking. By noon, my hands were shaking. Not violently, just enough to notice. A tremor like cold, even though the room was warm. I blamed caffeine. By evening, my head felt stuffed with cotton, thoughts drifting out of reach as soon as I touched them. The next day was worse. I dropped my keys twice, forgot a coworker's name mid-sentence. The rage was still there, hot, focused, but it had to push through fog to reach the surface. It scared me more than the anger ever had. Emily watched me closely. "You okay?" she asked, eyes scanning my face the way doctors do. "I'm fine." I meant not yet dead. Sleep stopped helping. I'd wake drenched in sweat, heart racing, muscles twitching like they were receiving bad instructions. Sometimes my legs felt hollow, like they might fold if I trusted them too much. I stopped driving long distances, stopped lifting anything heavy. I needed my body functional. I needed it obedient. I kept taking the vitamins. That was the worst part, the obedience. Some dim corner of my mind whispered that this wasn't random, that this was designed. But the whisper kept getting lost in the noise. Concentration became a fight. Words slipped. Time blurred. One afternoon, standing in the shower, I forgot why I was there. The water ran until it went cold, and I stood shaking, forehead against tile, teeth chattering, trying to remember my own name. When it came back to me, it arrived with fury, with clarity sharp enough to hurt. They were poisoning me. Not to kill, not yet, just enough to soften me, to dull the edges, to make me manageable. The realization hit harder than any betrayal before it. This wasn't just infidelity, this was choreography. A long, careful setup where my role was to fade quietly into the background while they took everything. That night, as Emily slept beside me, one hand resting protectively over her stomach, my limbs trembled uncontrollably. My vision pulsed at the edges. My mind burned with images I could barely hold on to. I knew I was running out of time, and for the first time, I wasn't sure my body would last long enough to let my revenge take shape.
The clinic looked different at night. No nurses, no soft voices, just the hum of electricity, and the echo of my footsteps chasing me down polished hallways. The lights were dimmed to a surgical twilight. Shadows stretched long and crooked, like they knew what I'd come to do. The blade sat heavy against my ribs, taped flat under my jacket. Not large, not dramatic, precise. I chose it that way. I didn't want chaos. I wanted intention. Every step took effort. My legs felt thick, resistant, like I was wading through something unseen. My hands shook, but my mind, what was left of it, burned bright and focused. Rage was the only thing still working properly. I found his office unlocked. Of course it was. Dr. Adrian Hale stood by the window, city lights painting his silhouette in gold and black. He didn't turn when I entered, didn't reach for an alarm, didn't look surprised. "You're late," he said calmly. I was wondering how long it would take. The words hit me wrong. Not fear, not confusion, certainty. I took a step forward and the room tilted. My muscles clenched without permission. A violent tightening, like invisible hands twisting wires inside me. My knee buckled. I grabbed the edge of his desk, knocking over a framed magazine cover, his face smiling up at me. Top Fertility Innovator of the Year. "You shouldn't strain yourself," Hale said, finally turning. His eyes were clear, curious, clinical. "The dosage accumulates." I tried to lunge, tried to speak. My jaw locked halfway open, teeth grinding uselessly. The blade slipped from my numb fingers and clattered to the floor, loud as a gunshot in the quiet room. Then I fell, hard. My body seized completely, every muscle screaming at once. My spine arched, breath stuttering in broken jerks. I could feel everything, pain, pressure, terror, but I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't even close my eyes. Hale crouched in front of me, careful not to wrinkle his suit. "You know how easy it is," he said softly, "to control a man who already believes he's broken." He picked up the blade, examined it, then set it gently on the desk. "You came to take something from me," he continued, "but you never had anything to take. That's what you never understood." My vision blurred, tears leaked sideways onto the floor. "The supplements," he said, almost kindly. "A custom blend, neuroinhibitors, muscle relaxants, mild toxins, nothing that would show up in a standard screen. I prescribed them myself. Your wife administered them faithfully." He smiled then, small, private. She was very cooperative. Desperate women usually are. I tried to shake my head, couldn't. She wanted a child. I wanted a legacy, Hale went on. You were the obstacle, a sad one, really. So eager to believe, so willing to disappear. He stood, straightening his cuffs. "You won't die," he said. "Not tonight. Your body will recover, partially, With the right care, you'll be stable, dependent, manageable. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. And no one will believe you. A disgruntled husband, psychological distress, a tragic reaction to stress. Footsteps echoed outside the office. Security, planned, timed. As they lifted me, my body limp and useless, I caught one last glimpse of Hale through the narrowing tunnel of my vision, already turning back to his desk, already moving on. I thought of Emily, of the child that would never know my name, of the man I used to be, trapped inside flesh that no longer answered, alive and completely defeated.